Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Yahweh is the true, holy, and powerful name of the Heavenly Father. Bahasham meaning in the name. Yahweh Shai is the true, holy, and powerful name of His only begotten Son, who is the Savior of the nation of Israel, starting off with the elect within the nation of Israel. And Israel consists of you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as well as your Israelite foreigners scattered abroad that may look like the nations where you've been scattered to, but are Israelites. And I also want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. All right, this is the brother you call from the GMS branch out in Des Moines, Iowa, coming back at you with another lesson inspired by the Holy Spirit, Harakak Wadash. And I may entitle this lesson, Curb Your Appetite. And this is something that the Spirit has been having me meditate on the past couple of days. And it was really from a definition that I came across, from listening to the elders out in Dallas. And I'm going to actually go to this word first. Well, before going into that scripture and the definition, I want to pull up this word appetite in the Edamon online. So the word appetite means craving for food. All right. It says appetite, desire, eagerness, right? It says appetite, longing, literally desire toward, right? So going back into the title of the lesson, curb your appetite. So it's curbing your desires towards certain things. All right. There's desires that we have, all right, especially being in this flesh and, in this society. There's certain desires that we've had that we have to kill off. There's certain desires that we may have towards certain things that we just have to moderate better. All right. And there's certain desires that, that we may have that is just not beneficial, so we have to keep an eye on these things and, make sure that, we're moving in the proper spirit. All right. And that those desires towards certain things, whether it's things that are lawful, all right, or whatever the case may be, that those things don't overtake us. All right. And the scriptures give us different tools to, as we're in this flesh, to combat those certain things through praying, through fasting, right, through being in tune in the spirit. You'll notice the more that you feed your spirit with the proper nutrients, or with the word of the Lord, or with, the fasting, the reading, and so on and so forth, that it actually starves out certain desires, should I say. Now you don't, you might not have a craving or appetite towards certain things. And that's literally what happens with fasting as well. At least I can say from my experience, there's certain things that, when I would go on fast, then after, being on a fast, whether it was like on a dry food fast, and then spirit might have it to where I do a couple of days, or, I'll go from a dry food fast to a water fast to a raw food diet fast. And then after I finish those certain fasts, it actually kills off certain desires towards certain things. It was one point where it was like I didn't really have a craving towards meat as much. So, after a fast that I got off of, I didn't have that desire, that craving towards certain things, right? So fasting, can help abate certain of those desires or cravings, right? So the same thing in the spirit, when we're providing it with the proper nutrients, and then when we do fast from certain things, all right, it helps strengthen our spirit to, to abate certain of those, those lusts towards certain things, right? Whether it's certain things that are lawful, or whatever the case it may be, right? Now, let's see, it says to long for, desire. All right. And that's pretty much it on that, so this is something that we have to curb at times. Right now, this title is based off a definition here. Let's grab it from this precept in 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 7. 1 Peter 4 and 7. I'm in the wrong chapter. It says, but the end of all things is at hand. All right. And as the scripture says in the book of 2nd Ezra, all right, we see all these signs, right? Like it says in 2nd Ezra, let's hit this real quick. All right. Giving us the evidence that we're at the end of all things. All right. This world, this society, right? The age of the rulership of the heathen, being Esau, Edom, who's on top right now. So we're at the end of his society. All right. And what's being established, all right, is the kingdom of heaven, starting off with the true servants of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai being risen up through the belief in him, and then translating into Yahweh Shai's physical return, all right, when he establishes a kingdom on earth wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? So this is where we're at. But 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse I'll start at the top. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And how do we measure the time? Or we measure the time through what? The prophecies. We look out to see what's happening throughout the planet Earth. All right, see how it lines up with prophecy. And this is how we know that we're in the end, right? This is how we know we're in the generation where Yahushua is going to physically return because of the different signs, the prophecies that are coming to pass. It says, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And we understand this, right? It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and we see that, all right, the uproars of the people, all these protests and the, well, yeah, all right, all these different protests and what's the word? Perplexity. That's what I was thinking about. Like it's worded in Luke, the 21st chapter. It talks about perplexity of nations, right? It talks about the confusion and, all these different things, the turmoil that's happening amongst, different governments and, the citizens coming up against the government and all that. These are all signs. And it says what? Earthquakes and uproars of the people. So the earthquakes, different natural disasters, plenty of different signs. And the thing is that these things are happening simultaneously. Yes, there's been earthquakes throughout history, all right, but not simultaneously or with the various other prophecies that are happening at the same time. All right, the infrastructure of the MOTB, which is spoken about in Revelation 13 and 16, that implantable C-hip that they're going to, move to as the new form of currency. All right, we see that being talked about in the news today. That wasn't happening throughout ages, right? This technology, all right, or the technology of the nuclear missiles, right, which is going to be used as a major instrument, all right, it's going to be used to destroy America, those nuclear missiles, right? So that's a major part of prophecy. This hasn't been happening throughout all the ages, all right, the nuclear technology, the technology for the MOTB, all right, to be happening at the same time of all these uproars of the people and the earthquakes and all these natural disasters and everything else, right? This World War III that's being, brewed up. All right. But anyways, it says, then shalt thou understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. All right. Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. All right. But the main point, it says that the end is manifest, meaning that what? It's clear. All right. It's clearly revealed that we're in the end. So going back to this in the book of 1 Peter chapter 4 and 7, it says, but the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. So understanding that the end of all things is at hand, like it also says in the book of 1 Peter, the 3rd chapter, 1 Peter chapter 3. Is it 1 Peter 3? All right, this is 2 Peter, Salaki, 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, via the what? The nuclear missiles, all right? That intense heat that's going to come from the nuclear destruction, right? It says the earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness, right? All right, it says, since everything around us in the NLT is going to be destroyed like this, what holy and godly lives should you live, right? So understanding that the Lord is bringing in the end, there's a certain way that we should be conducting ourselves if we want to escape his wrath. It says, verse 12 in the KJV, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? But showing you, seeing that these things are going to be destroyed, there's a certain way that we should conduct ourselves, right? So going back to this in the book of 1 Peter chapter 3, or 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 7, it says, but the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer, right? So it says seeing that these things are at hand, it says we ought to be sober. Looking at it from a literal sense, when you're sober, you're clear-minded, right? When you're drunk, you really don't know what's going on, or you're caught up in the spirit of mirth, right? You're just having fun and everything like that, but you're not considering, the danger. You're just having a good time. All right, and when you go into the book of Matthew, all right, the 24th chapter, it says that as the days of Noah were, so shall it be coming in the day, so shall it be during the coming of the Son of Man. They shall be eating and drinking and giving into marriage, meaning that what people were just indulging in their pleasures. All right, until what? Until that rain started pouring down, man, and it swept away all those individuals that was in that spirit. All right, so there's a certain sober mentality that we need to be in, considering the end. All right, considering our conduct, moving in the fear of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, so that we can escape his wrath, right? Moving in a way that's pleasing unto him, because he's going to do away with everything that offends, right? Everything that offends him, he's going to bring
Strong's
judgment.
G,
All right?
4335.
So there's a certain spirit that we need to be in, you know, but in a spiritual sense, it says what? Being sober, right? Now, reading this, it says, I didn't even mean to press that, and that ain't even the right word. All right, so the word for sober, it says sophroneo. It says to be of sound mind, to be in one's right mind, to exercise self-control, right? So seeing that we're in the end, we definitely need to exercise self-control, that temperance. And that's what wisdom is teaching us: temperance, prudence, justice, fortitude, right? And these traits are going to be very important for us to continue to grow in, especially as we see that the Lord is about to pour out his wrath upon this place. All right. Our ability to have self-control, to not make haste in time of trouble, to make the proper decisions that are pleasing in the sight of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. These things are going to be very important. All right. To be able to remain stable, having fortitude, right? To not be moved by the afflictions that we're going through, right? These are going to be very important traits to have in these days to come. It says to exercise self-control, to put a moderate estimate upon oneself, think of oneself soberly, right? So not to be high-minded, all right? You know, proud, you know, thinking that we're more than what we ought to think of ourselves, right? But it says to curb one's passions, right? And this is the main focus. It says to curb one's passions, right? Now, I looked up in the AI overview, what does it mean to curb one's passion, right? So it says to curb your passion. This is the AI overview on Google. It says to deliberately restrain, control your strong enthusiasm or excitement for something, essentially putting a limit on how much you pursue or express your passion, often to avoid becoming overly focused or obsessive about it, right? So this is what we have to do. All right. See, first and foremost, we have to understand, where is our desire supposed to be anyways, right? This is the book of Psalms, the 73rd chapter. All right. And we have to guard against, you know, desires of other things trying to overtake us, because being in this flesh, you are going to have a desire towards certain things. All right. You know, and, you know, the scriptures, you know, just talks about how the Lord, you know, he made the earth and it was good. You know, the Elohim, the angels that were with him. Right. But this is supposed to be what? Idan, which is a paradise. All right. The word Eden is the Hebrew word Idan, which means a paradise. Right. So the earth was meant to be, you know, a place where we rest and we relax and enjoy ourselves and everything like that. So naturally, that's what we're going to seek for in this flesh. Right. Pleasure and enjoyment and everything like that. But understanding where we are, understanding the times that we're in. Well, let me grab this in the book of Ecclesiastes. There's a time and season for everything, man. And right now we're in the time of being disciplined, being focused, all right, so that we could actually enjoy ourselves in the kingdom of heaven, all right, make it out of the coming wrath of the Lord. All right, so this isn't the time to, you know, be in the spirit of just mirth. That's why it says in the book of Timothy, it says, she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. Right. So an individual that's just caught up in pleasures and everything like that, all right, says they're dead. Right. Because it's going to lead to their destruction. That's why it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter as well. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 3, it says, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better. In the NLT, sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us, right? So the things that we go through that may cause sadness at times, right? It's actually refining us, all right? It affects our reasoning. It puts things in a proper perspective on what's truly important. All right, there's certain things that you may be indulging in or may have too much of an affection towards too much, to where the Lord strips it away. All right, and it may hurt, right? But it puts things in the proper perspective that, look, where is our heart supposed to be? All right, our heart, our hearts at times can be too caught up to entangle with certain things. So the Lord takes it away, all right, to where you can't, you can't be caught up in it, right? So where your mind can't be too, locked in and focused on it. So the Lord does that at times, to put us in the right spirit that's acceptable unto Him, man. All right, it says go to the Lord with weeping and fasting and prayer and so on and so forth. So there's a certain meekness, humble, lowly mentality that the Lord wants us to be in that's acceptable unto Him, right? So He allows us to go through these different things and these certain sufferings, all right, to be accepted by Him. It says Ecclesiastes 7:3 says sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to it says the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. All right. So and this is where we're at. We're in a state of mourning. All right. A state of mourning, what? Because of our own iniquities and our own sins, and we're crying out unto the Lord, But the fool is just caught up in mirth and feeling good and being, that's not what we're here for, man. All right. We're literally here serving out a captivity, a punishment for our iniquities and our sins. Imagine it. Here it is, you on punishment, right? Your dad, he ain't at the crib, you on punishment, but you throw a party. Okay. You sitting there throwing a party, and then when dad gets back, what you think he gonna do? He gonna start whooping some ass. All right. As opposed to the other sibling, that's, he's cleaning up, he's reflecting on what he's done and, why he's on punishment and, trying to please his father, right? So who's the father gonna have mercy on? That individual that's in the right spirit, the son that's in the right spirit in that house of mourning, right? So just something, to take into consideration, not to say that we don't laugh, not to say that we don't smile and have a good time, of course, right? But we understand where we're at, and our affection can't be on the things here, right? It's on the things in the heavens. That's where our heart is at, right? Ecclesiastes 7:2 is the verse that I actually wanted. It says, it is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. So the living, those that have been quickened by this word, been granted the belief in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, according to what's written, right? The living, they're going to consider this. Like, man, it's better to be in this spirit than caught up in the mirth of these people. Because once again, the individuals that was in the spirit of mirth and just want to have fun and this and that and the third, right? Those individuals, they weren't considering what Noah was saying during that time, the wrath to come. They were caught up in their mirth. And then what happened? They got judged and swept away in the wrath of the Lord. Right. So we want to make sure that we remain in the proper spirit. So going back to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse time and season. All right, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. All right. It says, I'm going to jump down. All right. Verse 4, it says a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. All right. So, there's a time of weeping. All right. And then there's a time of laughter. Right. So there's a time and season and everything. And the time that we're in a time where we need to be seeking the Lord. All right. This isn't the time of mirth, all right? It says in the book of Ezekiel, the 21st chapter, it says a sword is sharpened, it's also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter, shall we then make mirth? So seeing that the Lord is about to pour out his wrath and send judgment, what spirit ought we to be in? All right, we should be in the right spirit of meekness and lowliness and seeking the Lord, all right? Considering the wrath that's going to be poured out. All right, and moving in the fear of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai so that we can be accepted by him, man. Okay, so that he doesn't reject us, So where were we at? 1 Peter that 4. We read that. Now, reading this definition in the Google, see if there was anything else. All right, yeah, in the Google definition, right, it says to curb your passion. I'm going to read it again, the AI overview. It says, to curb your passion means to deliberately restrain or control your strong enthusiasm or excitement for something, essentially putting a limit on how much you pursue or express your passion, often to avoid becoming overly focused or obsessive about it, right? And like I mentioned, this is what I was going to grab, the Psalms the 73rd chapter, because our desire is to be to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? Psalm chapter 73 and verse 25. It says, whom have I in heaven but thee? And there is none upon earth that I desire beside thee. In the NLT, whom have I in heaven but you? I desire you more than anything on earth, right? So this is where our heart should be, desiring the Lord more than anything else, right? So those desires and aspirations of different things in this world, those things have to be killed off, all right? They have to be killed off, man. And our desire has to remain on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? 1 John chapter 2. And then as, you know, we grow in the faith and everything like that, you really recognize how defiled this place is. And it's like, man, even then, this place has nothing to offer us, all right? Especially when you compare it to what the Lord has prepared for those that actually love him and wait on him, and how there's a kingdom wherein dwelleth righteousness, right? You know, so it's a way better deal of denying ourselves now of this defiled ass society, all right, and what it has to offer, okay? It's a way better deal to deny ourselves for the small amount of time we have to here, all right, as opposed to, you know, and get the kingdom and have true rest and true, you know, well, the Lord granting us our heart's desires of righteousness undefiled, right, as opposed to trying to get it here. And look at what our people have to do to get the things of this world to be put on a high status, right? They partake in all types of sexual wickedness behind the scenes. You know, you see what's going on with Diddy and your Jay-Z's, and look at what they have to do. All right. Look at the stuff that they have to do to to get the crumbs of this society, right? You know, and then to get it stripped away from them. You know, it's like, nah, man, this world really has nothing to offer. It's all defiled, right? So our desire should always be to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and understanding that he's going to grant us our heart's desires anyways in righteousness. All right. As long as we honor wisdom. All right. Even King Solomon said, man, he said, if your delight be in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, and ye shall reign forevermore. King Solomon even acknowledged, he was like, I didn't even know that wisdom was the mother of all these things, that wisdom leadeth to a kingdom, that wisdom, all right, will grant you all these things in righteousness, right? So we're going to get everything anyways, man. But it says 1 John chapter 2 and verse 15, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him, right? So we are to love this place, okay? You know, this place is defiled, it's wicked, and it's on its way out. All right, let's say you got individuals that's still trying to make it. It's like, look, this place is getting flushed down the toilet. All right, there ain't nothing left in Babylon, okay? This place is getting flushed down the toilet. The only thing that's left for Babylon is the judgment. So everybody that's trying to hold on to this place and, you know, uphold this society and hoping that it continues on, you know, this wicked place and all the madness that's happening here, they're going to be swept away with the judgment, right? It says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away. And that's what we're about to witness, man. This world passing away, all right? Through what? The wrath and the judgment of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of the Most High abideth forever. All right. You know, but just want to go to show you, man, like, look, this, you know, this place, man, this ain't shit. All right. I'm going to just say it plain, man. This ain't nothing. All right. Even the vision, all right, of what we can see through the scriptures is way better than what this place literally has to offer, man. All right. So once we get to that kingdom, man, that's why the Lord was like, look, man, I've not seen nor ear heard what I have prepared for them that wait on me. So the Lord is going to greatly reward his servants. Here it is. You see the people in this society, they're prospering and they're wicked, right? It looks like they're prospering, right? Just because they got whatever people value in this place, all right? The money, the cars, women, you know, their women are defiled. The cars can get taken away, you know, right? All these different things, man, are tainted. All the things in this world is tainted, but we're coming into a kingdom where nothing is going to be tainted, right? You know, but all this stuff is going to pass away. So let me hit this back in the book of Genesis, you know, just to show you what, like, here it is. We read that Psalms and it talked about he desired nothing more than the Lord on earth. Right. And as the servants of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, as the Lord's wife, being the church, the body of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, our desires to be towards the Lord. Genesis 3:16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Right. So our desire as being the woman of the Lord, like it says in the book of Jeremiah, he's likened the daughter of Zion unto a comely and delicate woman. Our desires to please the Lord. And just like a woman, all right, a woman, her mindset is supposed to be to please her husband, right? To take care of her household and everything like that. And even Esau, man, he's stripped that away. Now it's a woman look at it as just being oppressive and everything like that. He's just completely defiled our women's minds. But when you see women that are actually in their proper order, moving within the proper vibration that they're supposed to be in, they're a lot happier. Okay. They are a lot happier. All right. Or they get all these accolades, and they next thing you know, they're 40 years old. They done got all these degrees and everything like that. But they feel this emptiness because they're not in their role. All right. When we're fulfilling our role within the will of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, it brings a certain peace. Doesn't mean that we don't catch hell, but it brings a certain peace when we embrace that role. Okay. And when you don't resist against it, fight against it and everything like that, man, it brings a certain peace. Right. So, hey, with us, that's why we have a certain peace within this ministry, man. When our heart is set on Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, it's like nothing else matters. You could be catching all types of hell and everything like that, but there's a certain peace that you have, man. He whose mind is stayed upon the Lord, he shall keep him in perfect peace. So where these different things don't affect us to a certain degree, because our mind is on the Lord, our mind is on the kingdom. All right, when we get to caring about certain things too much in this world, man, that's when the pain of losing this and that and the third hurts, but you lose something that you don't care about, it don't really affect you, as much, right? So, and this is what the scriptures talk about, man. In the book of Wisdom of Solomon, there might be Sirach, it says, he that getteth wisdom becomes quickly without care, right? He that getteth wisdom becomes quickly without care. So as we grow in this wisdom, man, we should really lose a care of the things of this world, all right? And we should lose anxiety towards certain things because, once again, our hope is in the kingdom of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, not chasing the things of this world and this society, man. All right, let's grab this in the book of Proverbs, the 4th chapter. All right, it even talks about that in the parable of the sower, right? Well, let's hit that first in the book of Mark, the 12th chapter. I like how it's worded in this one. So this is the parable of the sower, right? This is Mark chapter 12 and verse 29. All right, it says, and Yahweh Shai answered him, the first of all, I'm tripping. I'm thinking about Mark, the 4th chapter. All right, that's where it's at. Mark chapter 4 and verse 18. It says, and these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, right? So when you read up in this chapter, Yahweh Shai goes into the parable of the sower, where the seed was sown, some on good ground, some was sown among the stones, and some, they were sown and the thorns came up and choked it, right? So this is the interpretation that he's given of it, right? So Mark chapter 4 and verse 18, and these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches and the lust of other things entering in choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. So you have accounts of individuals that hear this word and they receive it, but then what the cares of this world, right, of other things and the deceitfulness of riches and the lust of other things entering in choke the word, right? So they get their mind caught up in, whatever it is, another desire towards something else in this world, all right, or chasing the bag, right? Whatever the case it may be, man, at the end of the day, their mind is redirected towards something else, right? It says, and they become unfruitful, right? So what happens to a tree that's not bearing fruit? All right. It's cast away and thrown into the fire, man, roughly paraphrasing it, So we have to continue to produce fruit. So we have to make sure that we're doing what? And in the book of Proverbs, it says, keep thy heart. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4 and verse 23. Proverbs 4 and 23. It says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life, right? In the NLT, guard your heart above all else. So we have to make sure that our heart is on guard from the tricks of Satan. As it is written, we are not ignorant of Satan's devices, right? The Lord can have, or really, the Lord can have it to where, he allows a spiritual demon, Satan. All right, yeah, go ahead and, allow him to throw certain things at you, and see if, you redirect it. Like, let me see if he really loved me more than anything else. Just like with Abraham, man. All right, Abraham was tried, right, with Isaac. Isaac was his child that he loved the most, but the Lord told him to sacrifice him, right? And that was a trial, to test to see if, Abraham loved the Lord more than anything else, right? So the Lord, he'll have us at times to where we get tried and tested to see if we, if we truly love him above all other things, man. If our desire is truly towards him, or if we care about other things more than him, man, right? So we have to make sure that we're guarding our heart, right, from allowing these different, lusts and desires of whatever it may be to take us away. It could be a desire towards a woman that can take you away from the Lord. It could be a desire towards, I just want to be this family man, and, you love your family and everything like that, which that's fine, right? But we can't love any of these things more than the Lord. We can't get caught up in chasing these different things, all right, more than we're seeking to please Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And that's the key thing, man, which is why I wanted to bring out this precept. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So we have to be on guard, not getting entangled with these different things, getting too caught up into certain things emotionally and so on and so forth. Stay focused on the kingdom. Stay focused on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Not allowing these lust of other things to enter in, and then it chokes us, all right, to where we aren't producing for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, right? I want to grab this in the book of Proverbs, the 23rd chapter. Proverbs 23:2, it says, and put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man given to appetite, right? So, we have to exercise discipline, because this is what it goes into, man, exercising that discipline. You got a desire, you like this and you like that, but you got to make sure that, you're disciplined. Jake loved women, that's fine, but that takes discipline. You might like drinking and this and then the third, that's cool. All right. But still have to exercise discipline in those different areas, moderation, right? And that could be anything, man. It can come down to your family, love your family and everything like that. Well, you have to be disciplined with the time that, you're giving over unto them, so make sure that our time is dedicated, where it needs to be and what's in the kingdom, in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and pleasing them. Because pleasing the Lord would allow all those other things to be taken care of, man. But displeasing the Lord, he's going to take away all that other stuff anyways, man. All right? So we have to keep Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai at the forefront of our mind, keeping the main thing, right? Now, going back to this definition, of curbing your appetites, it says key points about curbing your passion. Or curbing your passion, right? It says controlling your intensity. It's about managing the level of energy and focus you put towards your passion, right? So we have to make sure that we're properly managing that, making sure that our focus is remaining on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that the Lord is receiving our energy and our passion, our desire, right? And that these other things aren't overtaking that, okay? So you have to moderate the amount of energy that you're putting into your family. You have to moderate the amount of energy that you're doing into your extracurricular activities, right? Or whatever the case it may be, right? It says it's about managing the level of energy and focus you put towards your passion, not necessarily abandoning it entirely. All right, and certain things have to be abandoned entirely, but certain things, once again, it just has to be moderated. All right, and the scripture says in the book of Sirach, we have to know what's evil for our soul, right? So we have to know that meter for ourselves. All right, this is the book of Sirach, and verse 30, Sirach 37 and 27. It says, my son, prove thy soul in thy life and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. For all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. Right. So it says that what? We have to prove our soul and know what's evil for it. Right. And if you recognize this ain't good for you, like, nah, this ain't good for my spirit, man. Hey, begin to moderate that or cut it out. Yeah, nah, I'm spending too much time on this. Yeah, I need to chill out on this. Certain things that you might recognize, like, yeah, nah, during the week, this is too much a distraction that throws my week off. Maybe on the weekend I can partake in this or this extracurricular activity. But when I do it, during the week, it throws off my spiritual schedule, my reading, my studying, or whatever the case may be, right? So we have to know what's evil for us and, moderate that, right? It says, for all things are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. Be not unsatiable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats. And we're going to apply this in the spirit. The meat being a desire towards something, right? It says, be not too greedy upon meats, right? So we can't be covetous over these different things to the point to where, we're not giving our time to the Lord, or to where these things are showing itself to be more important because we're putting those things before the Lord. Right? It says, for excess of meats bringeth sickness, and surfeiting will turn into choler, and surfeiting is overindulgence. Right? It says, by surfeiting have many perished, but he that taketh heed prolongeth his life. So through overindulgence in the flesh, overindulgence in these different desires, all right, could begin to overtake us, and what leads to death, right? A spiritual death, which leads to a physical death, So we want to make sure that we're nourishing our spirit properly, all right, and making sure that our attention and focus is on Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, man. Not giving ourselves over to these various different things, man. Curbing our appetite or curbing our passions, right? Which is just a desire towards something. So it says back in the definition, balancing priorities. It says sometimes curbing your passion might be necessary to maintain balance in other areas of life, like work or relationships. Okay. So there's certain things that, once again, that are lawful for us to do, but these things have to be curbed. All right. To what? To maintain a healthy relationship with Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. Because the Lord grants us certain liberties and everything like that. But those things aren't meant to, aren't supposed to throw us off of serving the Lord. You being given certain blessings or whatever the case may be, and then it takes you away from serving the Lord, right? So we have to be careful about the different things that we're asking for, praying for, right? Because those different things, it reminds me about in the wilderness where it says the Lord granted our people their requests, but he sent leanness into their heart. So our people were so covetous and wanted some meat so bad, all right, to where the Lord was like, look, all right, you're going to eat this shit for weeks. It's going to be damn near coming out of your nose. All right. And then it angered the Lord, but what? They were engulfed in their flesh. All right. And in the midst of them stuffing their face with that quail, all right, the Lord started putting them to death because they was just engulfed in the flesh, but it said that what he granted their requests and sent leanness into their hearts. So there's certain things that, you can pray for. All right. And if it ain't, in the right spirit or, the wrong intent, all right, the Lord can grant it to you. But then what? You suffer for it spiritually, man. So these are different things that we have to be very mindful of, man. That's why in the prayer in the book of Sirach, man, it says, give me not over to the greediness of the belly and the lust of the flesh, that you may uphold me, your servant that's desires to serve thee. So he was literally praying like, Lord, don't give me over to my desires. Don't give me over to my lust. Don't allow these different things to overtake me so you can uphold me, your servant that's desires to serve thee. So he's like, look, I acknowledge my desires to serve you, but don't let me get pulled away by these different things that, my flesh wants. All right. So that's, what we have to consider, man. It says, avoiding negative consequences. If your passion becomes too consuming, right, that desire, lust towards something becomes too consuming, it could lead to burnout or neglecting other responsibilities. So curbing it can help prevent these issues, right? So we have to keep that in mind because the scriptures talk about attending upon the Lord without distraction, right? So to attend means to what? To direct our mind and energy. So we want to continue to make sure that our mind and our energy is directed towards Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. And if there's other things that a desire towards something else is consuming us, all right, then what happens, man? We begin to neglect our responsibilities, all right, in our relationship with Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, and the Lord obviously doesn't like that, all right, because going back to the book of Mark, this is what the Lord wants, man. This is the book of Mark, chapter 12 and verse 29. Mark 12 and 29. It says, and Yahushua answered him, the first of all, the commandment is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, thy power with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. So this is what the Lord wants from us, man. All right, to be fully invested into him, to love him with all that we got, right? It says, and the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these, right? So this is what the Lord wants from us, man. And I'm gonna read it, continue on. And the scribe said unto him, well, master, thou hast said the truth, for there is one God, and there is none other but he, and to love him with all the heart and with all the understanding and with all the soul and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself is more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. And when Yahushua saw that he answered discreetly, he said unto him, thou art not far from the kingdom of the Most High. And no man after that durst ask him any question. Right. And I just want to read that because he said, what? Thou art not far from the kingdom of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man. So he understood the importance of that's, because back in the ancient world, we used to sacrifice the bullocks and the different animals. And he was like, yeah, no, that's wisdom right there, to really give the Lord our all and, love him with all our strength and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Hey, on these hangeth all the law, So that's very important. But this is what the Lord wants from us, man. All right, so we have to guard our hearts, all right, especially being in this flesh, that's insatiable, because this flesh itself is insatiable, all right? It is insatiable, okay? It can never have enough. So our spirit has to lead and be the guidance of our flesh, all right? It's the man riding the horse. The horse can't take control. Now the man on top of that horse has to take control and guide it and direct it. So applying it to this flesh is like a horse that needs to be... like it says in the book of Sirach, a horse not broken becometh headstrong. All right. So what? It has to be disciplined. We have to allow our spirit to rule over this flesh, and not allow these different things to take us away from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So that's all I'm going to get, man, through the spirit. Lord's what I was edifying. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Pushing out this word in all sincerity and in truth. With that, I'm going to say shalom.